Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Emergency Shoutcraft, the Emergency Shoutcraft system right here. The Emergency Shoutcrafting system, perhaps, who knows? There are earthquakes abound, there are disasters abound. Don't worry, I'm here to save the day and so forth. Virus Naama in the green trunks. He is playing Terran right here on the Metalopolis versus his opponent, the one and only Protosser in the purple trunks. He is playing Zerg to the south of this particular map. This is the finals for the Finnish Netliga, with a prize of 700 euros on the line for this best of 5 series, sponsored by Steel Series and Gyms. I have to admit, bearing in mind that I did get called into this at 15 minutes notice, I have no idea who Gyms actually are. I would assume that they sell wonderful things in Finland. I am otherwise unaware of who Gyms are. Trust me, Gyms are amazing. Thank you for supporting esports, Gyms. I don't know what you manufacture. I wish that I did, but there you go. What can I say? I've had no prep time for this. It is an emergency cast. Oh, well, never mind. We'll deal with it. So, Naama is pretty awesome, so I've been told. In fact, I know this for a fact because, of course, he won the Dream Hack. Yes, the Dream Hack. But look at this. Look at this interesting opening right here from Naama. Naama going gas first. Perhaps he's going battle cruiser. Who knows? Gas first and then barracks on 13, going into 14 supply. Yes. Why would you get really early gas against Zerg? It is possible, very, very possible, that he could be going for some kind of Banshee play, especially on the Metalopolis. It seems to make sense. The question is, will it get scouted? The timing is quite interesting because, honestly, if Protosser doesn't scout before that barracks completes, he's going to have no idea that the refinery went up first. So we'll see what he decides to do. Naama on the way out with a little bit of scouting action going on right here. And Protosser opens up in the way that you'd expect a Zerg to open up against a Terran, which is to put a hatchery down on around 14 or 15 supply to try and start getting his economy really rolling. He feels that he is safe to do so, and for the time being, that seems to be correct. Bear in mind that we now have that factory coming up. Now, oh, it's a gas steal coming on right here. Protosser grabs it. A nice play right there, and that might prevent Naama from pulling off what he's looking to do, but bear in mind it could be something else. It doesn't necessarily have to be an early Banshee play. It could be some kind of factory play with perhaps an early Infernal Pre-Igniter. You'll notice that we've got a reactor going down right here on that barracks, so we'll see what that actually ends up being. There are a number of possibilities, but whatever the case, what we know for a fact is that gas went up early. Oh yes. Have a look at the economic situation, and you'll see there's very little deviation between the two for the moment. You'd account is looking 17 drones for Protosser and 17 SCVs. Bear in mind, all of you newer players, when you think, oh, well, he's got 2 bases and this guy's only got 1. Surely he has an advantage. Well, not always, folks. Not always. At least not this early in the game. He will eventually gain that, but he's had to spend a lot, and I do mean a lot of minerals initially on building that hatchery, so that does restrict the timing of, say, when it can get his queens out and things like that, and obviously it delays his spawning pool, so he doesn't have that many lava to play with, but he will. Okay, here comes the expansion right here for Naama, and we're looking at a double Hellion play, but we're not looking for Infernal Pre-Igniter. So, my other possibility, bear in mind there are so many ways that this could be interpreted, is that you went for the refinery earlier so that he could get the slightly earlier reactor for an... This is very interesting, actually. Really interesting. He went for an early Hellion rush, but he's only gone for 2. Now, bear in mind, there are 2 spine crawlers already coming down, so if Protosser did scout this, he was prepared for it, and Naama's Hellion harassment should be shut down fairly effectively. However, there are no spine crawlers in the back of that mineral line, so this could get a little bit messy for Protosser right here. A little bit of damage being done to the economy, minor harassment, nothing particularly special by Naama as of yet, but he is keeping his opponent on the back foot, and he's expanding behind this. He's now got the stim coming on, and he does have the Marines coming up with a double barracks approach, and he keeps those Hellions alive quite nicely. And this is a dangerous play right here for Naama. He could have got that Hellion sniped off, but he didn't. He keeps them alive somehow. 3 kills on that 1 Hellion. It's very good. Goes for some more. He should be able to get a little bit extra damage coming in. Look for the surround right here by Protosser, and still, that is good. Very nice damage right there. You see 8 units killed by Naama. Excellent play, and a good initial bit of harassment. Workers killed was only 3, but still, good damage done with that initial opening, and didn't sacrifice his economy too much to make that happen. Nothing wrong with that. Barracks on the way down right here, and Naama starting to stream out some SCVs. He's still a little bit behind economically, but he has restricted the growth of his opponent. Coming in right here with a lair for Protosser. Let's have a look at his gas count. He's only sitting on 1. He's looking for the second right here, so a little bit behind in that regard, but nothing to worry about too much at the moment. Naama with a reactor coming down again, so we could be going for more Hellions, or this could simply be a swap around for a Marine Marauder medevac play. Looks like we are getting Hellions coming out right there. He doesn't actually have the money that he needs to pump out medevacs right now anyway, so it kind of makes sense. Saving his gas for the time being. Second Hellion coming out right here. A little bit of scouting action going on by Protosser. He is able to get a little bit of information. He sees the timing of the expansion, but he doesn't know what's going on in his opponent's base. That's the main thing. He has no awareness at all of that. And bear in mind that he did see the factory coming up by the looks of it, but that really was about it. Starport on its way down, and medevacs on the way right here for Naama as well. Bit of supply blocking for him. A little bit unpleasant, but he will deal with it, no doubt. Protosser with a force of Speedlings, and he's also got Banelings and Spire on the way up. Playing fairly adaptable right now, fairly reactive to his opponent, which is to be expected, and now has a fairly significant economic advantage. Fairly. Look at that. You can see it right there in the visual display. 46 to 35 right now. Protosser being going pretty heavily into the drone count, but his army supply is lagging behind Naama at a pretty major rate, and that is very dangerous. Naama out once again with a force of 3 Hellions. No Infernal Pre-Igniter, isn't looking for that at all right now. It is a fairly expensive upgrade, bear that in mind. Looking for some flexibility, looking to get some more tech going on. Not really heavy on the upgrades either. We just have a combat shield coming up, but no sign of an engineering bay as of yet. And I would expect to see some Mutalisk harassment coming in pretty shortly as a direct result of that Spire. In he goes once again. How much damage is he going to be able to do to this line? Not a huge amount. He's on creep right now, which means there is a great risk of being surrounded. However, Naama's micromanagement on the Hellions is looking very, very good, and he keeps them all alive. Excellent play there by Naama, and another expansion right here, trying to out-expand his Zerg opponent, and trying to contain his Zerg opponent as well, and keeping an eye out for expansion timing in this area right here, which, as you can see, is coming down right now. Naama will see it, and he may be able to react to it. No micromanagement right there, and almost losing that Hellion. Doesn't happen. In the meantime, what's going on? We've got a primarily Marine. We do have a Marauder out, just for the hell of it. Primarily Marine, Medevac, and Tank Force coming up. And there is the expansion coming down, and he does get the timing of it. Look at this. Drop play available right here. Looking for some harassment into this line. Protosser is, by the looks of it, not actually ready to receive any kind of drop coming across here. So a little bit dodgy, a little bit suspect. Going to have to be very, very careful indeed. That drop could certainly do some damage. It has already taken some, as you can see. Obviously went over there and did a little bit, but not a huge amount killed, actually. In fact, barely anything whatsoever. One worker and nothing else. Protosser continue to mass up these Zerglings right here. How many does he have? He's got 57, but curiously not going for too many upgrades. At least he doesn't have them quite yet. He does have a level 1 missile attack coming in, and level 1 flyer attack as well. Mutalisks on the way. Not a huge number, though. Only 3. Doesn't have what he needs to do any real harassment to this area as of yet. And Naama now rolling up full defense on this third base. Overlord has scouted it, and Overlord will go down. Nice freebie right there for Naama. In the meantime, Protosser is not having any of that nonsense. Swarming over those Marines, doing good damage, and now streaming across the map. Here comes the response, and Naama is able to pick off another Overlord by the looks of it. A great drop micromanagement. Another Mutalisk actually taken out there. No Overlords, in fact. There you go. Naama is holding this line quite nicely, and Protosser is not really in a position to do any major damage for the time being. Doesn't have the Baneling count. He is morphing in a few. He's looking for 7 right now. Needs to get a few more than that. Army supply count still heavily in favor of Naama. Naama not really going for upgrades, you notice. He's only going for +1 infantry armor. Nothing on the weapon side of things as of yet, and of course no vehicle upgrades, but he does have an armory on the way. That could, of course, be for Thor's, or it could be for more infantry upgrades. I would expect to see both. A very unfortunate turn of events for that particular Marine. Not what you were after, was it? Not exactly. And another expansion coming up right here for Protosser. Wants to stay one step ahead at all times. I don't really blame him. Not at all. Question is, will he be able to secure this area? Naama spots the expansion. What is his response to that? Does he decide to go in, or is he going for the back? Looks like he is going for the back, and Protosser does have a spine crawler, but it will be out of range if any kind of harassment does drop in the back right there. And Naama continues to push forward behind this, cleaning up the Mutalisks without too much of a problem. Here comes the drop right now. Didn't look to deny that expansion because he doesn't need to. He already has this force right here. Two-pronged attack. Here comes the drop, and plenty of damage coming in at the back right here for Naama. Pushing his way in right there. Will he be able to clear out that spine crawler? It is a little bit dodgy. Banelings from the side. That's a lot of Banelings expended to do that. And, of course, Naama was able to clean out this expansion right here. So that wasn't so great for Protosser at all. A lot of units killed. You can see the comparison there. It's pretty crazy. But, of course, the units lost tab is what tells the real story. As you can see right there, resource count 4,000 to 1,500. Very efficient play right here by Naama, losing a medevac, but he's able to clean up the Mutalisks again. So not too big a deal, and Protosser is now bottled in that base. Note that the SCV count has now significantly exceeded that of Protosser. It's looking very, very good right now. Very good indeed. Not too many workers killed, honestly. It's simply a case of Naama has an economic advantage and is able to exploit that to the fullest. Here come the Banelings and the Zerglings right now. 69 and 15 upgrade count is 1 and 1. We are looking for level 2 melee attack upgrade as well, and he will be able to start overtaking Naama's upgrade count. Naama's upgrade count is not looking so amazing right now. His infantry weapon is coming to completion, but that level 2 melee attack for Zerg is well on the way. Interesting use of a sensor tower right here as well to scout incoming Mutalisk harassment and, of course, any kind of drop play or maybe even Nidus. Protosser now moving out Zergling, Baneling, and Muta. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good force. However, those tanks could be problematic. Thing is, that force isn't actually that large. I would think that force should be able to clear through Naama's defenses right there without too much of a problem. Mutalisks were looking for harassment. They didn't get it, however. Naama pushing forward and splitting his forces down the middle, and Protosser with this mobility advantage that he should be able to exploit to do good damage. Naama still has an army supply count advantage. That queen out in the middle of nowhere, Protosser needs to leave immediately. There's the stim. Annihilates it completely, and Protosser moving in, and that's actually a nice scan right there. That scan did enable him to do two things, in fact. It enabled him to see the force coming and to scout out some creep tumors. However, there you go, Protosser getting himself in there, and will he be able to break through it? A nice little bottleneck created by Naama right there, but it's not quite enough. The Mutas will be able to clean up, no problem at all, and that force annihilated. In the meantime, you can see that Naama is looking for an opportunity. Does he have the Baneling count for it? He's looking for the stim to wear off before he decides to go in. Now charging down the ramp, and once Naama's off creep, he shouldn't be able to catch him right there. So Protosser is looking pretty good right now. He's able to kill a good amount of units, and he's starting to close the gap between the two. As you can see right there, 4,500 resources to 7,100 lost. And he's also closing the economic gap. He has 3 bases fully secure. He has a macro hatchery right there, and he's looking to expand over here, which of course is a little bit risky, but still. Right now, Naama looking to take the gold, and that could be critical. Will Protosser be able to clean him out of there? Does he have the force count for it? He needs to. He needs to break this very quickly. There's not a lot of anti-air right there. Protosser could go in. He actually has what he needs to do the damage. He could clean this up without too much of a problem, especially with some Zergling support. Now on deploying, he looks for it. He doesn't quite get the window. Needs to get in there. If that planetary fortress goes up and the defenses come down, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He needs to start picking off those siege tanks immediately. He could have gone for it there. That's overstimming right now, as you can see right there. He could pick these off, but he decides not to do it, and that could be a critical error. He's allowed his opponent to secure a fourth, and more to the point, that fourth base is actually unable to deploy right now. There we go. He does have the space for it, but there you go. That was a little bit messy. Another drop attempt right here, easily cleaned up right now by Protosser. I'm British and I'm saying Protosser. This is horrible. This is interesting as well. Terran Infantry Armor level 3. It does make sense, honestly. You're looking at a primarily Mutalisk-based force with a lot of Zerglings on the ground. So, armor is good. Unfortunately, Protosser has the numbers to clean this up, and I'm surprised they didn't do it earlier, honestly. Not a lot of anti-air defense available, and I'm also surprised to see no Thors on the field for Naama, relying pretty much entirely on Marines, and his Marine count is not looking so bad right now. As you can see, 52 on the way, cleans up a few more. He does have 1 Thor, which will definitely help, but he does need a few more than that if he wants to really deny the harassment capabilities of those Mutas as they pick off a few. Could pick off the medevacs at the back right here. That's what he looks for. 1 down. And there's the second right there. And the Banelings charging in. Wow, that was a cleanup right there from Protosser. Excellent flanking maneuver. Good stuff. Very, very good. And now Protosser swings into a unit count advantage. 86 to 57. The counterattack is on its way. Will Naama be able to clean that up? That was a good sandwich. Very, very good. A delicious sandwich for anyone that enjoys their Zerg. That I can tell you for a fact. And now Protosser cleaning it up. Banelings charging into the line. And no deployed siege tanks here at all. This is going to get very, very messy for Naama if it hasn't already. Big damage coming in right now. Protosser's Mutilist count is looking very good. Banelay's clean it up once again, and the army supply count looking very, very good for Protosser right now. A second wave of Zerglings charging in. They will, of course, not go for that planetary fortress. Don't want to do that, but they will be able to clean up this natural expansion and perhaps expand and attack here. The main base is going to get gutted right now. Naama's going to have a lot of trouble defending against this one. Oh, yes, he is. Oh, he is not happy about that one little bit. First game going to Protosser, ladies and gentlemen, after some excellent flanking maneuvers as Protosser waits for the right moment. Naama loses that one. He is now 1 down in this best of 5 series.